Just doing a quick tester before we go live. Tester before we go live. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Simshed Broadcasting for the Anzcar Cup here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. I hope everybody is well, and I do apologise in advance for a few issues tonight that are going to happen, as unfortunately our producer, Mr. JP himself, has had a family emergency and will not be here. So we're a little bit sort of underhanded tonight. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to... And I had the audio on there, so that doesn't help either. Everything's going wrong that can possibly go wrong. But joining me tonight is Jonathan Hancock, of course, last season. We'll know him well joining me last season, but I have to thank him for joining me tonight because he has dropped out of the race to come and join me here in the commentary booth. So good evening, Jono, and welcome. Oh, I really appreciate it. I appreciate it so very, very much. As I say, it's a bit of a ramshackle start tonight for the old broadcast. We're a little bit how should we say it? Things are a little bit out of control here, but hopefully it will all go well. If there is any audio issues, just let me know in the actual chat, so I can actually see and fix them, because, as I say, tonight we are as I say, we're running short-handed. I'm doing the broadcast and the cameras, and also commentating tonight, so all fun stuff, and I'm a little bit out of practice as well, so always fun in that respect. But here at Atlanta, of course, a bit of a different track tonight. What was your experience out there, Jono? Yeah, it is a bit slippery out there. I know a lot of people were having trouble, especially in the trucks and the Thunder series for the Xfinity cars. They had trouble here at Atlanta just holding the car. It is a bit slippery, especially on turns 3 and 4. Yeah, and again, I do apologise for having to drag you up here, but I do very much appreciate it. Glad to have you in the booth tonight, just joining us tonight, really, for it. Before we go on, though, I'm just going to quickly go over the standings for the championships as we stand. So currently in first place, we have Josh Micklemore, who's having a fantastic season so far. The Mitch Motorsport boys are really going well. And just behind him in the Illusion team is Chris Purnell. Again, Purnell and Illusion are going well. Those two are actually very close on points, with 158 for Micklemore and 144 for Purnell. Behind Purnell is Danny G in Mitch Motorsport, of course. And then the first of the JP Simshed boys is Edward Foster in 4th place. Again, good start this season for Foster. He's having a very consistent year. Michael Skurlock is 5th. Dave Douglas 6th, Brett Garrett 7th, 8th we have Hamish Gallagher, 9th is Matt Danson, I'm sure he won't be staying there too long, 10th we have Matthew Cluett, and then we go on to Daniel Stevens, Riley Curtis, Norman Clark, Jason Hardigan, Joshua Carroll Walden, Tristan Koch, Stephen Williams, Raymond Yeager, James Roby, Jason Martin. Again, Jason Martin, very strange to have him all the way down in 20th, and then quite a few other names as we go down, but that's all we'll run through tonight at least. But yeah, it's been an interesting season so far, and especially for having some of the contenders, I'd say, sort of not being up there in a championship at the moment. You know, people like Martin and of course one of your aides and helpers, Matt Danson as well, not being in that sort of not being in the in the top of the championship. It's odd to see them not there. Yeah, look, that's the thing with Danson is he is focused on the Pro Series, which you can't really blame him. He is a fantastic driver, and we see it time and time again while we're racing and things like that. He is just so very fast, um, and just very very strong competitor. He always does well, um, and it's very hard to discount him from winning a race. Yeah, look, again, another driver that is just silly fast. Braden, of course. Braden's actually qualified second at the moment. As we just finishing up here, we've got the last 13 seconds going. So currently, Jason Martin sits on pole, Braden Boulis second, with Danny G in third. So what we'll do, as usual, is as we switch over to the race server, we'll have a look at the last time out, the prior race, and we'll go through that, and we'll be back with you all very shortly. a straight line. Skurlock's got some good speed here, but he's got to really defend against Danson, who's got fantastic speed on this one.
Oh, this is going to be so close.
It's going to be close, but it looks like Danson is going to edge it out.
Oh, big wreck after the line.
Maverick after the line, but Danson takes it. Skurlock gets second. Purnell is just in third place, with Josh Mickelmore fourth. And welcome back, everybody. And we are going to start lining up now, getting everybody ready to go. So just before we do that, let us just run through the results of qualifying, get the actual grid up. So let's get that working. There we go, that's the right button. Okay, on row 1 we have Martin with Foster on the outside. Good qualifying for Foster and Martin. Row 2 we have Danny G with Hamish Gallagher. Row 3 we have Ayrton Smith with JCW. Row 4 we have Danny Stevens with Devon Stove. Row 5.
Carl, press G. You forgot to put it in order. Sorry.
Is it not in order?
It's Jason Martin and Brandon and Danny G.
I thought so. Yeah, okay. Grid is not working properly. Okay, Grid, why are you not working? Okay, let's go through. let's just forget that. Sorry, it's a issue with the AVTO. Sorry there. So yeah, Jason Martin, Braden Boulos, Foster, Danny G, Matt Danson, Hamish Gallagher, Ayrton Smith, Joshua Carroll-Walton, Daniel Stevens, Brett Gerditz, James Roby, Simon Mesamo, Mirko Dortnat, Chris Purnell, Jason Hartigan, Ryan Smith, Jake Maloney, and so on and so on. And we're going to be going green very shortly, so we'll skip that section for now. Thanks, Jono.
Oh, good. I thought I'd just pull you up. Sorry, man.
Oh, look, tell me when I'm wrong, because otherwise I will miss it, especially tonight, because there's just so much going on. One of those nights for sure. I was pretty sure Braden got the pole position, so yeah. Thanks for calling me up on that one. So, I'm going to get starting soon. Let us see. The pace car's going to be coming in any moment now. And we will be going green for the race here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Pace car comes in, and green is away. And Martin gets a good start from Boulos.
Yeah, he got a really good start there, really good jump. Now we.
Sorry, I think I lost you there, Jono. Nice clean start from everybody there, but Jason Martin just getting a fantastic start from the from the beginning there. Really good positioning for him, and that has also allowed Matt Danson to is everything working? It's allowed. Sorry, we've got some technical issues now. Always fun. I think I've lost Jono, unfortunately, so we'll carry on.
I'm still here.
Oh, there we go. We got you.
Yeah, I was just checking the live stream for you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, and away we go. And yeah, really good start there. So nice and clean so far. It can be a bit of a tricky track, this one as well, especially as you come onto the start-finish straight.
Yeah, for sure. It can be. I just want to let you know, Carl, that the live stream, you still got the JP shed up. For sure.
Ah, of course I have. There we go. Okay, we're actually live now. Thank you so much. As I said, everything that can go wrong is going to go wrong tonight. It's one of those nights today. So I do apologise in advance for that. You didn't miss anything there from the start of the race. Nothing too major has happened. We have a relatively good start from everybody. Clean start as we go on as well.
It's been a good start so far. Matt has managed to jump Brandon for second. That's about all that has really happened at this stage.
Yeah, just I think I might have a slight problem on my on the stream just for car paint wise. We're just going to do a quick reset of that, so I do apologise in advance for the white cars that you'll see for a couple of seconds. But yeah, really good start there for Danson. He's managed to climb his way up in front of Boulos, which is what he wanted to do. And now he's racing Martin. And Martin can be very strong around this track as well. Jason is a very, very good driver. And although he's had a bit of a bad start to the season, things are starting to go his way. Things are starting to get a little bit better.
Yeah, Jason Martin is a really good driver. The Mitch Motorsport team there, so all those guys are very strong. We've seen some good races so far out of him this year, but also with him there's been a few iffy races as we're getting into the start of the season, the silly part of the season at the start.
Yeah, he had a lot of moments where he well, it wasn't really his fault in a lot of those situations. He just had a lot of moments where he got caught up in accidents that weren't his own, unfortunately, and really did not help his the start to his season. Getting caught up in accidents that really were just sort of more sort of other drivers in front of him, a lot of lapped cars, things like that, tending to get involved in those incidents, unfortunately, and hopefully that's the end of it now. Hopefully things will start getting back to normal for him as Danson makes a look down the inside.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to pass here tonight as it is a very, very line track here tonight.
Yeah, it's not a track where you can easily run sort of 2 or 3 wide, unfortunately. It's a bit of a track where you do struggle in those sort of situations, and it can be very, very tricky to run multiple lines here due to the nature of Atlanta. Really, it's one of those tracks that is it's hard to drive sometimes. You know, when you're actually going around it for the first time, you think that's not too bad, but when you start pushing here, when the tyres start dropping off a little bit, it can really negatively affect you.
Yeah, and like I think I said before the break there, that is due to where he track, so you get a lot of sliding and a lot of here at this track, especially with the current package that we have.
Yeah, it can really, really mess you up, and we're just going to lose visuals for a couple of seconds here for a couple of moments, and I do apologise about that, but we'll keep you up to date with the commentary, let you know what's going on. But yeah, it's really tricky here sometimes, and it's the tyre degradation is the thing that really can hamper you. There we go, we're back to normal. Just quickly, Jono, I just seem to have a very much a wrong livery on Matt Danson. He seems to be running a Texaco colour on my screen, which I'm pretty sure is wrong.
Yeah, he's running his paint from last year with the Horizon.
Yes, should be a nice rainbow colour, so I do apologise in advance for that one. Just try and fix that a little bit as the flicker around a little bit, but yeah, it does not seem to be working properly for us there, so I do apologise for that, and I apologise for Matt Danson and his sponsors, Vegan Food Melbourne, and the other sponsors he has on the car as well, for not showing them properly, but I think we're going to have to settle with what we've got for the time being. At least we have some paint on the car, it's not just a white car going around. But yeah, he's having a good race there, he's sitting well there, and this is where you've really just got to start settling in. We've got sort of 2 packs forming. Just behind we've got Hamish Gallagher in the next pack with Danny G behind him and Ayrton Smith. Sorry, Danny G in front of him, sorry. We've got the middle finger racing car of Daniel Stevens, Ayrton Smith and Joshua Carroll Walden in this sort of next pack down. And they're having a good little fight at the moment. But
Yellow.
and caution is out. We have a caution. The caution flag has come out. and just trying to have a little look down the order, see what actually happened there.
Looks like someone might have just spun coming off a turn. We got the outside wall.
Yeah, just see if we can catch that quickly. I'm just going to check on the replays.
Yeah, the guy got Jake Maloney.
Jake Maloney. Okay. So we'll see if we can catch that one. See if iRacing wants to play ball. It does not look like it though, unfortunately. We're having problems with our replays again, so again, apologise about that one. So we'll jump back to that when it comes to it. But everybody is coming into the pit lane. So apologise for not being able to show the incident there, but it looks like pretty much everybody's coming into the pit lane. We did have one car decide to not jump in, one of the blue and red cars. I think that might be... just trying to actually have a look at that, see who that was. But yeah, all the leaders have come in, and this is what we expect here. We expect people to come in for these pit stops because it is very much a race of tyres here. You know, it's all about tyre wear. One of the Illusion cars there just coming out. Very good pit stop there for the Illusion driver.
Matt getting the jump in the pit lane too, to get in the first.
Yeah, getting up there in first place. We'll just get the pit road details up once we can. Good stop for Danson there. Very good stop indeed. Just getting ahead of Martin. Just trying to see who that was. I think it might have been Mirko Dortnack. He had a very quick stop, and he's jumped everybody in the pit lane. And has really managed to get himself into the lead here. I wonder if he maybe only took one set of wheels, one set of tyres, left or right tyres only. Because, yeah, he's managed to jump everybody. That was an extremely quick stop for Dortnack.
Yeah, I was just watching all the pit stops back.
Oh, sorry, lost you there, Johnny.
Oh, my apologies.
No, all good. You're all fine. No need to apologise.
We're doing the best we can here tonight, Carl. Don't worry. When you said that the stream visuals would be down for a second, I felt right at home. As you know, I do radio in my personal life, so hey, it's like that.
It wouldn't be the first time we've had to do a radio broadcast on the streams when I'm actually streaming. It's a bit like the old days here right now, isn't it? It's
yeah,
it feels familiar.
Yeah, it feels good being back in the booth with you, Carl. And we're just doing as well as we can. Unfortunately, we've had some things come up tonight, so if you're just tuning in, yeah, we've had some things happen which have prevented certain people being around to be able to help us out with the stream tonight. So we're just doing as best we can here tonight. So just bear with us.
Yes,
we apologise.
Bear with us, and a bit of a shout out to JP, who's had a bit of a medical issue, and Dortnack's coming back in. So I wonder what happened with Dortnack. Maybe he missed pit box and just decided not to go with it, or very odd there for Dortnack. But that's going to help Danson out immensely now. He's really going to get in the lead. And then Boulos just sitting behind him as well. That's going to help him out immensely.
Yeah, that'll help both for the Horizon Racing team drivers out as teammates there, Matt Danson and Boulos, if you didn't know. So they'll be able to push and somewhat draft off each other here if they're able to time this restart well.
Yeah, I imagine they'll be talking to each other and working it out. And we know those two work together well, but we also know they like to race hard with each other. They're teammates and good friends. And, Mr. Boulos is a bit of a... He is an official member of the Dancers, but he does not want Matt Danson to win. He is always trying his best to beat him, and they do push each other well. And it's also good because it does help push other drivers as well. People like Jason Martin, really having to push hard and actually, get sort of better performances in there as well, and he is doing that. He does a fantastic job as the pace car comes in, and we go back to green flag racing. Danson drops the hammer, gets a good start, but behind him you can just see worked out very well for the teammates there.
Yeah, and that's always the difference between being a team and being, is that you can, and if you have those open lines that you restart.
Yeah, it does help an enormous amount. It's amazing what difference a teammate can make. It's it is a big help situation because working together, it really can help you out. Speaking of teammates, though, we've of course got Horizon Racing with Danson and Boulos, but behind them we have a train of Mitch Motorsport cars. All three of the Mitch Motorsport boys. We've got Martin, Danny G and Josh Mickelmore there, and then just sitting behind him is Joshua Carroll Walden as well. JCW having a good run getting up there in the JP Simshed car. Danny Stevens as well for Middle Finger Racing having a good job getting up there nice and quickly. Hamish Gallagher in 8th with Chris Purnell in Illusion, and then James Roby in 10th. Some good drives from these guys, but it does look like currently Mitch Motorsport and Horizon are the teams to really beat, as they are doing a fantastic job up there in the lead of the race.
Yeah, those Mitch Motorsport cars always quick, and as you were talking there about motorsport mental machines, always very out there, and they're always some drivers that are finish high, high up in the standings each and every week, and they have their weekly report on their Facebook. Most of these teams do. If you hear us talking about a team, you can look them up on Facebook, follow them, and most of them have a report after the race that they put up.
Yeah, it's a good way of keeping up with the information as well. If you are a follower of the series, of course, jump onto the Anzcar Facebook. But a lot of the teams have got their own little Facebooks up, and they've got their own little their own systems up, which is great to see, because it's nice to get reports and actual driver's eye view as well, because that is such a big help, because you sort of understand what goes on in a race sometimes. Because occasionally you sort of see a driver and they're not doing too well, they're having a bit of a poor race, but you sort of read what's happened and you realise just how good a race they've had. Another driver that's having a pretty good run at the moment is Kai Sloggett with Michael Skurlock in 11th and 12th. They've managed to gain 14 and 11 positions respectively. Great run for them, and good job for Kai as well. He's been having a bit of a rough season so far with the MFR team. Not the best of luck. He's been, in his own words, if he didn't have bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck. But he's having a good run at the moment. Things are working well in that top 20. It's good to see him up there. Another guy that's doing quite well in that sort of area as well is Bradley Allison and Raymond Yeager in 15th and 16th. Again, a good run for those guys. Allison is having a fantastic season. Of course, we got the two different Allisons racing this season, both rookies, but both of them have been having a fantastic season as well. And of course, Bradley Allison has been having a great run this year, been having very strong performances, been having a great run so far. Guy that's not having a good race so far, though, is Foster as well. Edward Foster is having a bit of a torrid time out there. 35th position currently. Way down the order. I mean, we don't usually expect to see Foster that far down. He's actually racing with Matthew Cluett as well, who's also having a bit of a rough run. Jake Maloney as well is quite far down there, but he did have that spin. But Foster is a guy we usually see up there in top 10 most weeks, but he's sitting a lap down at the moment, and he's having a bit of a rough time out there, so we'll have to see how that pans out for the race.
Yeah, he's not actually racing Matthew for track position, as he's a at this point, which is surprising for a driver who is as strong as Edward. He is one of the top 10, maybe even top 5 drivers that we normally have out here every single.
Yeah, well, you can see with the championship standings, he's way up there in the championships because he's been having such consistent finishes. He's always been in the sort of top 10, and he's had a few moments where you could almost say that he's a couple of brain farts. You can always say, just if we look back at the Daytona and things like that, where he's made that run to try and get the victory, but there's been an accident involved in it. But if you don't race for the win sometimes, you're not really racing. It is that thing of, you've got to race for victory. That's why we race, is we race to win. We don't race to just sit around and finish in a set position. So obviously it's not working out too well for him tonight, which is a real shame, and he's going to be quite disappointed with that one. But up front, Matt Danson is having a fantastic run with Boulos behind him. Those two are just keeping the lead nice and sort of consistently, and Martin is just sticking to their tail behind them. You can see there's a bit of a gap forming between Martin and his teammate Danny G and Josh Micklemore now. They're just starting to fall into separate packs. We've got 4 wide down the back straight, just for a moment there. Very brave manoeuvre. James Roby, Hamish Gallagher, Kai Sloggett, and I think Ryan Jones was involved in that as well. Racing 2 wide at the moment across the start-finish line. Brave manoeuvres by those guys. 4 wide on Atlanta is not advisable.
Like we were talking earlier, it's very much a one-line track, and if you're one of the guys you really got to come out the throttle to make it around the corner, or else you're going to be in the outside very quickly.
And one of the things about this track is turns 1 and 2 are not too bad. When you race here, it's deceptive because you go into turns 1 and 2 and it feels great. The car sticks and it's you feel relatively confident. You might need to do a little bit of a lift off here and there as we get 3 wide across the start finish line there again with the Middle Finger Racing team, Ryan Jones Ryan Jones, Bradley Allison, and Hamish Gallagher there, really racing hard. Kai Sloggett as well, just having a fantastic drive there, getting past Ryan Jones. Really brave move by Kai Sloggett. But yeah, it's deceptive track because you race really well across those first couple of corners, and then you get into turns 3 and 4, and there's just so many little bumps that throw you out. And then as you get across the tri-oval, or whatever oval we call it,
Quad oval.
Across the start-finish line, it's I've forgotten the word for it now. It's
quad oval?
The quad oval, that's the one.
Yeah.
Once you get onto the quad oval, there is a nasty bump just as you get past the pit entry. And that is very common for people to get thrown up into the wall as you come across the start-finish line. It's a bit of a tricky one, and it can cause you issues.
Yeah, I didn't experience it that much out there tonight, but I'm sure as the tyres wear down, it'll be interesting to see. I've noticed in these cars, the longer you stay out, I try to always stay out as long as I can on my tyres, but even going down the straight, if you're into it too much, you'll spin one tyre up more than the other and it'll want to fishtail it down the straightaway, and that's when you get big trouble.
Well, of course, like one of the big things about these cars, NASCARs in general, they're not exactly the most advanced pieces of machinery in the universe. The diffs aren't sort of these beautiful open diffs that sort of work perfectly and will spin the wheels at a perfect way across the corners and stuff like that. They're almost like a locked diff, and it can really catch you out. These things are absolutely brutal to drive, aren't they?
Yeah, they're quite a challenge. It definitely is. If you're on a hotter track, or sometimes because cooler track takes a lot longer for your tyres to come up, which then are more slidey, but you wear your tyres quicker, so then you're on slidey tyres as well. So it's very much a fine balance to keep one of these cars happy.
It's not easy to do for sure, and it's it can really throw you out. And then you've got things, obviously the Cup cars are that little bit more advanced than some of the others, such as the Xfinity and the trucks, of course. The trucks, I think, are some of the hardest cars to drive in any category, because they are just so very. Well, of course, there's no weight over the rear axle, and that really does make it very hard, because you've got what, 600-700 horsepower in these big V8 engines and no grip on the rear, and it really does make it quite challenging. But at the same time, it's such a great feeling to get these cars around and actually, you know, get a grip on these cars and get them performing well. It's when you do perform well in these cars, you do feel very, very good.
Yeah, it can be very rewarding at times. Have that feeling of really.
Exactly. There is just such a reward to actually driving these cars well, and you know, if you know, even around an oval, you know, where it is literally just turning left, people go, well, that's not hard. It is. It's a lot harder than you think. These cars, they don't handle well, as we've got Braden Boulos going for the lead. It looks like he's just going to get down the inside of Danson right now, and he has just taken the lead away. Sorry, he hasn't. Sorry, that's a lapped car. Sorry. Got a lapped car just in front of them. Must have come in for tyres, because you just see the difference in the speed there, just flying past Danson. Sorry, I thought it was Boulos getting in the front there, but no, one of the cars... sorry about that. Sorry, Johnny.
That's Tristan Koch. He just went in for tyres, and that's how much of a difference tyres can make to one of these cars too. While we're talking about how touchy they are, as you can see, the tyres make a big difference on how worn they are, especially at a track like this. The first few laps, you can pretty much hold it flat around here. Yeah,
you can just see now the speed difference between Koch and Danson, and you know, not ill will to Tristan Koch, because he's been having some great races, but he isn't he's not one of the drivers you usually see up at the top of the field. He's a very good midfield runner, and usually sort of runs towards the back of the grid. But you know, he's not one of the fastest guys out there. But you can just see now, with those fresh tyres, he is so much faster than the leaders. And that is the difference these fresh tyres make. So we'll probably expect to see the leaders starting to think about coming in for their stops in about I'd say about 10 to 15 laps from now. But we could see a situation, if we do run green, where an early stop can really help you out, because you're going to get such a big undercut.
Yeah, that'll be the thing. The undercut is going to be...
It's mighty around this circuit, and we have seen in past years, I believe it was last season actually here at Atlanta, the undercut really did pay off. But of course, the trouble with the undercut is when you come in, of course, you come in earlier than the drivers, and then you've got drivers behind you on fresher tyres, and they go much faster too. And sometimes it can pay off in certain situations, but then you've also got to keep the car running through the whole race, and you know, running a long distance on tyres that are much older and worn than the opponents behind you, and that can really cause some problems.
Yeah, I'm personally a driver that likes to stay out as long as possible on my tyres, even more efficient, because it leaves the window for opportunity open, I believe.
Well, it paid off for you in the truck race on Monday when we were racing with each other, because I'm very much a driver that likes my tyres to be very relatively fresh, and I made the mistake of coming in a couple of laps just before a caution flew, and that was the end of my race. I ended up a few laps down because of that one. But as you say, if you can stay out longer, sometimes it does pay off, because that caution can really save your bacon.
Yeah, definitely can. I think I ended up making a race, Xfinity race this week, but we were under caution. I forgot my teammate Brennan had passed me, so I forgot I was a lap down. And if you go in a lap down into pits under yellow, you get sent to the end of the longest line, which is in the back of the pack. So I did that, and I got put a lap down. So that was fun.
it's easy to make a mistake. And just speaking of pit stops in the green flag situations, it's hard to do sometimes because it's not easy getting these cars to stop. Obviously, you're running on, you're not running with beautiful carbon ceramic disc brakes and things like that. You're running with steel disc brakes on cars that have, well, brakes that aren't the best, we should say. You've probably got better brakes on your road car than a NASCAR has, as odd as that sounds. These things do not stop well, and it's very easy to lock up. And of course, when you're coming in under green, you do sometimes have that problem of locking up, and it can really, really cause you trouble.
Yeah, that's one thing that I like to do in our here at Anzcar, that we do a screen before. Like to run a full tyre cycle and try to pull it into the pits at every track, because it can be a very big challenge. I'm very lucky to have the setup from Hybrid Racing Simulation where I can adjust my front brake bias, which is one of the 2 or 3 things we can touch in this fixed setup series. So it's always nice to be able to play with that on the fly.
Yeah, having that option to play around with your bias settings does make a difference. And of course, the other big thing as well is when you do come in on worn tyres, again, that makes a big difference as well, because those worn tyres they're not as grippy and you can have problems, and it can really cause you issues. And as you say, it's good to actually practice stopping on those worn tyres, because it gets you a little bit more experience as you come in, and having that experience is very important sometimes.
Yeah, you're very prone as you come off the third and fourth on the front left coming into pits, and that won't give you the turning to get into pit lane in the first place, and that can cause a lot of troubles. It can cause a wreck. It can cause you to totally miss pits and have to go around again.
Yeah, and missing your pit is a huge, it's a huge penalty, really, because of course you slow down and then you end up almost 2 laps down sometimes when that kind of thing happens. And of course there is also the thing of speeding in pit lane as well, is you've got to slow the cars down to, 80 kilometers per hour, is it?
50 miles per hour here tonight.
Yeah. So, which
I don't know in kilometers.
Yeah, that's it. I'm hopeless with kph and miles. But yeah, basically you've got to slow down from almost 160, 170 miles per hour to 50 miles per hour in the pit lane, and it's a hard thing to do. There is very much a skill involved in it, and it is just a real big thing that it takes a while for you to actually learn to do and to actually get good at, because it's not easy. It is very much a thing of skill where you do need to really put practice in to get it perfect.
Yeah, I've been in a blessed position and a very lucky and amazing position this year to be a Horizon Racing team, Matt Dance, Brandon, because I'll be the first to admit I'm not very out there and I'm not the best. Sure, I'm good enough to race Anzcars, but people like Matt and Brandon are getting ready to go to Road to Pro this year and become NASCAR drivers next year. So to have them around me and to have that kind of, I guess, support and mentorship is something that has really helped me out this season. So yeah, thanks to those guys and thanks to the Horizon Racing team guys.
It makes a huge difference having that support around you, and as you say, like, having that experience does really help. Obviously, having teammates such as Danson and Boulos around you is one of the hard things, of course, because when you're one of the drivers that's consistently in the sort of top 20 to 30 positions, like as the aforementioned Tristan Koch, a driver that is very good at sort of getting those consistent sort of positions, but it's a little bit lower down, still just lacks some of that speed as we've got a car just getting off as they come out of the pit lane there. Just as we say, a bit of a problem coming through the pits there. for one of the drivers on the infield at the moment. But yeah, it can almost be soul destroying, can't it? Because these guys are just so much faster than you. But at the same time, there is so much you can learn from them as well. It's very much a thing of learning. Hammy Stein there just having some problems getting in and out of pit entry and exit. But yeah, there is so much you can learn from these guys, and it is a thing of just learning. You're not going to jump into Anzcar and you might get a good result in your first run, or you might get a top 10 finish in your first season and feel like, oh well, I'm really good. But then you're going to have races where you're going to be almost half a second to a second off the pace, and you don't know why. Almost you'll just go, well, how am I this slow? And it is literally just a thing of experience. And it does make a difference. Experience does really, really make a difference for your speed. And as you get it, you just start going quicker and quicker. And then all of a sudden, you realise that you've been lifting at a millimetre too soon or a millimetre too late, and your speed all of a sudden just comes to you. And it is that thing of going through a season and just learning to get everything right. Which is one of the harder things, and we've seen it this season with a lot of drivers having problems, and there have been a lot of incidents, unfortunately, in the past couple of races where some of the lapped cars and some of the drivers with less experience have had incidents, unfortunately, and the caution is out as we say it. But yeah, it is one of those things that it does take time to just get everything right and get good, as people would say. Looks like possibly Ryan Jones was involved in an incident there. We'll try and see exactly what happened. Just go back. Jason Hartigan may have been involved in that too. See if we can catch that. Yeah, Jason Hartigan's lost it into the wall there, unfortunately. See if we can go back and actually catch that a little bit better. Unfortunately not. No, iRacing is not wanting to play a game. But it looks like Hardigan involved in that, and Ryan Jones is too as well. Has got some damage on the rear of his car. So caution's just come out in time for all of these lead drivers. They're going to be very happy about this caution because it means they get a good pit stop.
Yeah, and talking about Jason, you were talking about...
sorry, you just dropped out there, Johnny.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, talking about Jason there, and first race wins, I was going to bring up Jason earlier. He come out and won his first race win in his first Anzcar race, and he was at that point seen in at 18th. So that just shows, just because they're all ovals, they are different tracks, different techniques, different everything. Just because you're good at one doesn't mean you're good at all of them.
No, that's it. You do have races where you are better at... Well, you have tracks where you are better than others. For instance, there are tracks where I feel much more confident than some of the other tracks, and that makes a difference. It looks like, I think Jason Martin actually had a good stop there. He's managed to jump Boulos. Good job for Martin there. He's managed to get ahead of Boulos, but unfortunately that means he's going to be starting on the outside. So... he might not hold that position for too long, as Boulos might get the jump on him on that restart.
Yeah, we're just actually starting to see Matt Brandon there as before that yellow come out. So it'll be interesting to see what the pace is between those two if we do get a long green here, as Boulos did win the truck and Xfinity race this week in the Anzcar series.
Going for the Triple Crown this week, seeing if he can get all three of them done, which, look, wouldn't put it past Boulos. He is a ridiculously fast driver, very, very skilled.
Yeah, and all these drivers are pretty skilled to be out here tonight. Anzcar Cup Series Oval, as we do have a lot of drivers that show up each and every week, and we only qualify the top 38.
Yeah, well, that's it. It is very much this thing of, that it especially in the trucks and Xfinity, for instance. If you do go for a drive in those series, don't feel disheartened if you are very much slower than the rest of the field, things like that, because these guys have got so much experience. I mean, with the Cup alone, we've been running the Cup for 3 years now, and of course Jason Martin winning the first season, Matt Danson winning the second season. These guys have got a lot of experience, and it's not just running in the Cup. They run in everything, and they do just have all of that experience under their belt, and just this sort of constant ability. So they are very, very skilled drivers out there. It's not a thing to feel bad if you do have if you are a bit slow, and never feel bad for being slow. But you do have to just learn to race, and that's one of the hardest things, is learning to race with these guys, because it is such close racing. When you're running side by side, when you're running an oval, as I say, we were racing at Texas this week, and funny enough, I was actually racing Jono for a lot of it. But it was that thing of, we were running behind each. Jono was running in front of me. I would not say I would be in front of him, but we did have a few opportunities where we had a bit of a battle. But it is learning just to race with each other, run close to each other, and not have that fear of running side by side, because that's the scary part, and that's the thing that does take a lot of time to get used to.
Yeah, a lot of people unfortunately jump into Daytona because they see the name of it and they think, oh, I'll be right. We end up running 3 and 4 wide, and well, that's their night over, because they end up hitting the wall or hitting someone else because they don't have that. You got to hold your line as we restart here.
Back to green, and again Danson and Boulos get a fantastic start. Obviously working together well there, and Boulos is getting a good little run here in the 0-1 car. He's really trying to get up close to Danson, and sitting on his gearbox as we come through. But yeah, unfortunately a lot of people do just jump into Daytona or Talladega because they see the name and go, oh yeah, that looks like fun. But it is a very different sort of track to run, and there is so much you need to learn before you can race on those tracks. Again, as I say, a lot of road racers look at oval racing and they think, oh, that's pretty easy, it's just turning left. But there is so much you need to learn, and even from a mechanical side of things, that's my expertise, is on the mechanical aspects and engineering aspects. That's where I cut my teeth in oval racing. It is so different to road racing because it is just such a different skill set you need, and you do need to have that old saying of balls of steel, so to say. You almost do need that because it's such a different sort of racing. It is so close, it's so tricky, and yeah, it is very, very scary at sometimes. But learning to race on these sort of smaller circuits rather than Daytona and things like that do give you a lot more. It gives you a lot more opportunities to learn, of course. Even at places like Bristol, which is a very hard track to race on. I think we're at Bristol next week or the week after. Bristol and Dover, they're very short. They look very simple, but they are such hard tracks to race at. But you do learn a lot more from those than you'll learn at places like Talladega and things like that.
Yeah, Bristol is personally one of my favourite tracks to watch, but it's not my favourite track to drive by far.
No, I understand.
It always shows
that.
good racing.
Yeah, Bristol and Dover are tracks that I actually don't mind Dover, but Bristol can burn in fire. It's basically Bristol is my Sonoma. I would rather race at Sonoma than Bristol, which is saying a lot.
Oh really? Yeah, I just don't do road courses in NASCAR. I'm not a road course guy, so
no.
I like to drop those weeks, but we gotta get out there and get better at them. So there's only one way to do that, and that's race it, right?
Yeah, look, road courses are a different kettle of fish, and again, it's a thing of, if you race road courses in a GT3 car or a GT car or, any of the other numerous makes of cars out there, even things like the Mazda MX-5s, it is such a different skill set needed to race a NASCAR on a road course, because as I say, these things handle like pigs. They're not easy to drive. They've got a huge amount of horsepower, obscene amount of horsepower in them. They are ridiculous, and the tyres will spin up if you even look at the accelerator. And on a road course, it's just such a different skill set needed, and the braking is so different, because these things in a straight line are just ludicrously fast. A video I'd actually suggest having a look at just getting an idea of how hard it is on a road course is, and I've forgotten the name of the person I was thinking of there, which is always good. Jono, just take over for a moment while I try and remember what I was thinking.
Yeah, so we were talking about how pack racing in these cars can be. Weeks ago at Daytona, Newman had. That was terrible, and it had a lot of people worried, but luckily with the technology, even though these cars aren't F1 cars, they still are very safe for drivers to be in, and he's walked away with no injuries at all, luckily.
Yeah, it was fantastic the fact he managed to survive that and walk away with so few injuries. It's pretty amazing how strong these vehicles are, and obviously a touring car is going to be stronger than a Formula 1 car in certain crashes and all of that kind of thing, but it's still dangerous. There's still risk, and obviously in a NASCAR you're going so fast. It is one of those things where an accident like that can easily take you out. Jimmy Broadbent, there we go, memory has come back to me. I totally wasn't looking at that on the phone. But if you look at Jimmy Broadbent taking NASCAR out on the Nordschleife, for instance, it's a really good example of seeing why these cars are so hard to drive on a road course, because they just have so much power in a straight line, but the trouble is they're also very loose as well, and they do not like turning. It gives you a great idea. But back to the strength of these vehicles, the driver, the actual cockpit and monocoque of the car, they are so strong. If we jump to the gyro cam, you can sort of see all of the structural parts of it, the roll cage and everything like that. It's designed to take so much impact, but of course the big problem is when you do have an impact like Newman's, where it is just so much force on the body. It doesn't matter how strong the car is. Sometimes that can be a negative, of course, because when you're in such a big crash, you need almost the car to crumple a little bit to reduce the force on your body. Because when you do come to a sudden stop like that, you have all of that G-force on your body, and all of your insides basically will jump forwards. I think back to some of the crashes we had in kart back when I was running with Penske. We had a big incident. I talked the other week about De Ferran's crash, where he crashed at over 240 miles per hour and walked away from it unscathed. But the thing is, you had drivers that didn't do that. I'm trying to think of his name now, a Swedish driver, and my brain is just going a bit dead. I do apologise, I'm not at my best tonight, I'm a bit unwell, but when you do have a big crash, when you do get spinning, and that's the problem, is when a car crashes and starts to spin in the air, that's when the centrifugal force and the G-force really starts to rip your body apart, and it's really not a very comfortable thing, and it's just, the amount of stress on the body is unbelievable.
Yeah, you never want to hit those big G's. Comfortable feeling. I've done it a few times. It's not a nice experience, to say the least.
No, one of the bonuses of racing in a sim is, when you do have those big crashes like Mirko Dortmund last week, where he had a very, very nasty crash, and it can hurt your wrist sometimes. I've injured a wrist and a finger a few times in my wheel as it's spun around, because the force feedback is no joke on the rigs that we have and the setups, but it's still, you don't have as much force on the body, you don't get hurt as much, and that's one of the beautiful things about sim racing. And of course, the other thing as well is, especially very topical at the moment, is with the coronavirus, of course. A lot of races are having to actually be put off or abandoned, or even rescheduled to a later date, because simply, obviously you can't have crowds of people with this now being classified as a pandemic. But obviously in sim racing we don't really have that problem. We can do it when we're at home, and we can do it when we're actually when we're here, so it makes it a bit easier. Just looking through the field a little bit as we go on, good recovery drive so far is Edward Foster. He's managed to use that lucky dog in the cautions, and has made his way up to 19th position at the moment. So he's back on the lead lap. He's made his way all the way back up to 19th position. Himself and Matthew Clewett as well, actually, again, another good recovery drive for Clewett. They're doing a good job of getting back up into the action and getting themselves back into the possibility of a good finish.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there with Edward. Something must have happened. He started third on the grid and he went a lap down pretty early on, so something must have happened that was in the early stages there. But talking about that certain virus, that it's been all over the news, I was going to be going to the Melbourne Grand Prix. I was supposed to leave for it Wednesday, but as you know, I'm very, very unwell, so I had to make the call that it was way too risky for myself to go anywhere like that to an event.
It is such a, obviously it is a scary thing, but it's also, for healthy people it's not that bad. You got to say, and there's a very high recovery rate, and the death toll is not too high. But unfortunately, for people who are already sick and do have underlying medical conditions like yourself, Jono, and I'll include myself in that one because I'm very much in a similar position. But it does make it very hard, and that's the thing is when you do have underlying issues, that's when it becomes scary. And again, a beautiful thing about sim racing is it does allow us people that have medical conditions to actually race and to get back out there on track, because it's obviously it's not as, it's still strenuous on the body when you're racing these cars. When you're racing in sim racing, it's not an easy thing, and you don't end the race feeling absolutely dandy afterwards, because it does put a lot of stress on the muscles and the body. I mean, just after an hour-long race is generally I'll need to have a heat pack on my back and and lie down for a few hours to recover from it. But it is that thing of, it does allow us to actually race again and have that opportunity to race, which is good. And that's one of the best things about sim racing, of course, is it does allow people of all abilities and disabilities to get out there and actually duke it out on track, because unfortunately some of us won't be able to drive race cars again, and it is nice to actually be able to do something we love, like racing in a different circumstance.
Yeah, and as racing advertise everywhere, this is the realest thing we'll get to ever getting back in a race car. Everything is laser scanned down to the millimetre, so, and it does feel as close to the real thing as I've felt. So
yeah, and that's it. It's, as we've said before, it's myself personally, I don't have much money. I'm not exactly a person with lots of options to get into racing and stuff like that anymore. I used to run a Peugeot 206 GTI and managed to get into a hill climb with that, and I actually used to help out with Edward Foster, we used to run a Ford Escort and a I'm trying to think of the other car. I think it was a Honda. No, it wasn't a Honda Civic. It was a Toyota Corolla. Sorry. But we used to run cars. We used to race cars, and we used to do that. But it's so expensive, and it does take a toll on your body. And when you are sick and when you are time poor, it makes it very hard. Whereas with sim racing, you know, I've picked up a second-hand G27 steering wheel, and you know, I've had to do some bits and bobs to get it working again. But for $150, I got into racing, and yeah, it's, you know, it's got expense to it still, but it's not. It's nowhere near as expensive as the real racing is. That's the worst point.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I'm, again, hybrid racing simulator. But yeah, I'm a partner in racing. I'm lucky enough to have the equipment that drivers like. Real life. I'm trying to think of a race car. Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, let's say Scott McLaughlin, Shane Van Gisbergen, everyone, you know, all those types have to train on it week in, week out. I have a setup like that in my house for personal use. I'm lucky enough because, again, yeah, I'm sponsored by Hybrid Racing Simulation. So there's two very different levels, and many levels in between of sim racing, sorry.
Yeah, but we have seen people like Scotty McLaughlin and SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen, actually jump in and race with us in Anzcar a couple of times. And, you know, you've got these guys with, you know, tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment, you know, racing people like myself that has a second-hand steering wheel for $150, you know. And it's not, you know, it does help, of course, having all of the best equipment. It does help. There is no doubt about it. But it doesn't make you absolutely less competitive. It's almost like you're racing in a... if we use GT racing, for instance, you're racing in a GT4 car while everybody races in a GT3 car. You know, you still have a chance to beat them, but it's a bit harder with your equipment. But you're not completely out of it, and you do have the opportunity to race them and still get a good performance, you know. And that's the best thing about it. It does make a huge difference. Just speaking about this race, though, Matt Danson has just pulled out a huge lead so far. He is doing a fantastic job out front. Great lead over Braden Boulos, and Jason Martin. He's just pulling away from those leaders at the moment and having a great drive out there.
Yeah, the Horizon guys are obviously some field out here. I've got to be, what do I say there? Because I don't want to make any enemies out. But yeah,
you've got to be diplomatic sometimes.
Yeah, we definitely have some of the top drivers in our Horizon Racing team. So you wouldn't expect anything less from Matt. Week in, week out, he shows up and makes it look easy. But unfortunately, it's not. He's had many years out there on the racetrack.
That's one of the things with Danson that I do like to stress, is he makes it look easy. And it definitely isn't. You know, the thing with Matt Danson is he makes it look easy. He makes it look... when you watch Matt Danson, we're just jumping on board with him now, it looks effortless sometimes. And he really... You know, he is just quick without putting too much effort into it, and you'll hear him after a race be very, you know, sometimes he'll be a bit humble, but, you know, he's very easygoing, and he's very very self-confident, we'll say. But it is that thing of he just has a lot of skill, but there's a lot of time he's put into it. There's a lot of effort and practice he puts into it, and that's the difference. Is, you know, he's only, you know, a couple of tenths, if that, faster than somebody like Jason Martin, who we'll jump to now, you know, who is also an extremely good sim racer. Jason Martin, of course, champion of the first season with the back when it was Thunder. But Jason Martin is ridiculously fast. But you've got drivers like Boulos and Danson who just have that little tiny bit more, and it's not much. It's, you know, it's not even, you know, a tenth of a second. It is a tiny amount, but it does make a difference, and practice does make perfect. You know, the guys that practice really do put a lot of effort into it, and it does show. And it's not a thing of the drivers behind them aren't practicing. It's literally just they will get there. It just takes a bit of time, and you know, obviously there is a bit of natural talent as well in these things. You know, you've got people. If we look at the real world, for instance, in open wheelers, you've got people like Lewis Hamilton, you know, who is so much faster than his teammate Valtteri Bottas. But Bottas is no slouch. Bottas is a ridiculously good racing driver, but there is just that little bit of extra that just those guys just have, and it's very frustrating, as I say, when you race against them, because it is that thing of, you know, well, how can I beat these guys? But if you put the time and effort in there, you will start getting closer, and eventually you will start sort of getting there and beating them. We've got a good little battle going on down in sort of around 14th position onwards. Brett Gerritz in the Middle Finger Racing, Hamish Gallagher with the fantastic livery on his car, the beautiful Taylor Swift, I think it is, on his car. Trying to think which one it is now. The Taylor Swift Netflix car, of course. And then Foster behind him with Matthew Cluett in the other Middle Finger Racing car, the JP Simshed driver Foster, doing a great job out there as well. He's really climbing the ranks and battling it out with these guys. A good little battle on track at the moment.
Yeah, Foster's done a really good job as pulling past Gallagher here. And in the Taylor Swift cars, we have another caution.
And the caution comes out, and again we're going to have some happy drivers in the front, and we've got a car going slow across the start-finish line. Try and figure out who that was. We have to apologise, because normally we have a couple of guys doing looking out through things and able to see bits and bobs and tell what's going on, but unfortunately with just myself it does make things a little bit trickier. We'll just have a little look back on the replay.
I think it was Norman Clark, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I've got a feeling it might have been Norman Clark. He has dropped off the map a little bit. We'll see if we can actually find out what happened to Norman. We'll just see if we can actually get a replay of it. But as I say, unfortunately, we've been having some technical issues with replays as of late. Yeah, it looks like we're not gonna get that replay, unfortunately. So I apologise about that. We're hopefully things will be a bit better in the next couple of weeks. We are switching to a slightly different system rather than the current one we're using for the overlays and stuff, which should give us more options. But also the iRacing servers have been a bit iffy recently with replays and getting things up. So apologising about that one. We'll have to just guess what went on there, speculate a little bit. But the race for the pit lane is on.
Yeah, and this is another very critical part of any race.
Oh, sorry, I just lost you there, Jono.
Everyone coming out in the top three coming out in the same order that they went in. And someone who's having a quietly good race here tonight is Chris Purnell. He's always one of those higher up drivers, but he's been quietly sitting back in about 4th and 5th all night.
Yeah, both Purnell and Skurlock have been having a great season, a bit of a sleeper season, but Illusion have been really on it this year. They had a terrible year last season, a bit of a shocking one for them, which is a shame, but they've got a lot of new drivers in their team this year, and they've got a lot of experienced drivers as well. They've got people like Dave Douglas in there, who is just one of the drivers that you tend to see always up in that top 10, an extremely good driver. But you've got Chris and you've got Skurlock, and of course Virtual Motorsport Mentor, of course, coming out from Illusion. Those guys are really putting a lot of effort into helping the sim racing community as well, which is what we like to see. But they've been having a great run so far, and they have been having a good season. They've just been quietly edging their way up, and it's not going to be long before we get a win from the Illusion cars, I think.
Yeah, it won't be long, and someone who's we saw out earlier, you know, where they had is doing well to be back up in the 15th, and that's another illusion or mentor motor sport car, whatever machine or whatever we're calling on this. Matt. He's a nice, polite driver, so yeah, all the guys out here, for the most part, are really nice, polite guys, and really good to be around.
Yeah, look, that's the thing, is they've got a fantastic team, and you know, if you ever need any help and things like that, they are a good team to learn from. They've always got time for people, and as I say, they do put a lot of effort into helping out the community. Another driver that's having a really good little run so far, Riley Curtis and Raymond Yeager. Yeager has had a bit of not had the best season so far, but he's always been a decent driver and always been able to put the car up there in the seasons. Very, very decent driver, and he's managed to get the car up there into the top 10. He's in 9th at the moment, with Riley Curtis just behind him. Again, another driver that is having a fantastic drive so far. He's had a good season, but just not quite working for him yet. Of course, Riley Curtis, former Riley Curtis design team, which has folded, but his former teammate Edward Foster is now behind him in 12th position. Again, really good recovery drive for Foster, and Clewett as well. Matthew Clewett has managed to get there as well with Mirko Dortnack. Some really good drives we've seen tonight from those guys. A bit lower down the field, not making too many noises. They've not really been they've not been pushing it much, but they have been just slowly creeping up the order, recovering well, and just having a really good little drive, those guys.
Yeah, we've got drivers moved everywhere. Like you see, Phil Otter, then you got the opposite scale, Aaron Smith. He's lost a few spots there from 7th down to 19th as we go green here.
Back to green we go, and again a good start for Danson and Boulos, but Martin as well gets a nice start. Gets a little bit of a push from the Illusion car of Michael Skurlock there, just doing a good little job. And we've also got James Robbie up there again, another driver that's just been slowly pushing his way up the field. Again, really good drive from Phil and from James Roby as well. Just really good little drive there, and just sneaking his way up there. Skurlock, we just got to mention, Skurlock had a bit of a shock in qualifying, but he's made his way up to 6th place, 19 positions gained, currently equal with Raymond Yeager, and the only person that's gained more positions at this time is Riley Curtis. But a fantastic job for those guys. Really good racing we're seeing here tonight.
Yeah,
and
we got another caution.
Out.
Cautions breed caution.
Yes, they do. As seems to be the thing I say a lot these days, is cautions do breed cautions. We've been very lucky tonight where we haven't had many cautions following cautions. We've had some good green flag running, which is what we love to see. Obviously, one of the big things for NASCAR and all that kind of thing is everybody goes, oh yeah, it's all about the crashing, but we'd love to see green flag running. And I do wonder if anyone's going to use this opportunity to come into the pits and maybe just top up a little bit, because from what I've been hearing, you can get about 50 laps of fuel in this car, and it will run, as we see Matt Danson just feinting a pit stop there, just coming in and pretending to come in, seeing if he can lure anybody to actually join him in the pit lane, but nobody seems to have taken the bait. From the way down, it looks like nobody else has come into the pit lane. There are a few cars that are a bit further down that definitely are coming in for stops. Just well worth a toss of the dice there. Sometimes when you are sort of at the back of the pack and are a bit further down, it's well worth rolling a dice and just seeing what you can do in that respect.
Yeah, as we see JCW get his lap back. talking to James Robbie with you there before, Carl. It's his first season out. Him and Ryan Bull, I believe, is his teammate. I believe they come from the road side and they've come over here, and this is their rookie year, and it's so far going pretty well for James tonight.
Yeah, we have seen James a couple of times through the seasons. It's not, it's. I think it's his first year fully competing every race. Himself and Ryan Bull have had a couple of. They've dipped their toes into it, so to say, but it's good to see them actually coming in for a proper punt this season, because they are fast, they are very good drivers, and just having a full year in the season is a good thing to have, because it will really help them out.
Yeah, it will, and they seem to be one of the better rookie teams out here this year. Obviously, the JP Simshed guys are the best. I've got to be careful again. Probably the best.
I think there's not a problem in saying they are the best rookie team this season. Their best,
Yeah, even though the drivers aren't rookie, the team is the first year all running under the JP Simshed umbrella, and
yeah, that's it. It's a new team, but there is so much experience in it, and the thing is with JP Simshed Racing is they've got drivers that were formerly running on their own, such as Joshua Carroll Walden, of course, the winner of Daytona. JCW is an absolute brilliant driver. He is up there for drivers, but he's just lacked that bit of team behind him, having that bit of confidence, having that sort of not that regular. He's struggled with can't think of the word now. Just consistency. That's it. He's not been so consistent, but he has been consistently up there in the sort of in the top 10 drivers. He missed out on the chase last year by a couple of points. He was so close to it, and of course he did get a win in the chase last year as well. And being in JP Simshed this year, I think it's only going to do him wonders. And of course they've got a very experienced team leader in Edward Foster, who has got a lot of experience under his belt, who has driven for a long time, and he's got a lot of oval racing experience as well. He's been racing ovals ever since the days of racing ovals using a keyboard setup. It's one of those things, as I say, Foster and I have known each other for a long time, almost 15 years now. So we back in the day was racing using a joystick and a keyboard, as the pace car will be coming in and we'll be going back to green. But he has got that experience in his under his belt, and that will help enormously. But you've also, speaking of experience, you've got Norman Clark in there as well. And not racing this season, but Roger Clark as well is sort of lurking around and just helping out, I believe, with the team, just helping out in the background. So some serious experience there, especially with Norman. Just experience alone. I think without a doubt the most experienced person there is in all of Anzcar. I think he's probably got more experience than the front three drivers combined in years of experience, of course, and a former, I think he was a works driver for Alfa Romeo back in South Africa. Just he's got that experience of course, the real world and sim racing. He's a very good guy to have around, and very, very useful to have to help coach you, things like that. So it is just such a strong team. We talked about Mitch Motorsport, of course, being the mega team when they formed last year, but I think JP Simshed are the sort of new uber super team at the moment, because they are just that strong with their driver lineup. But of course, Horizon Motorsport, you can't count them out, because you've got Matt Danston and Braden Boulos, two of the best oval sim racers, or sim racers in general, in Australia and America.
Yeah, Thank you for saying what I wanted to say there, Carl. And Roger is in the background, I believe, doing all good JP Simshed for the races that they can do open setups, because he worked in that type of field for years, so it's still his type of stuff. And while Horizon, is arguably the best team in the field, and with the likes of Matt and Brandon, they've raced for years with each other in Ashton Crowder's team, and so while it may be a new label on the team, it will say somewhat the same drivers as the team.
Yeah, of course, running Silt and Crowder for a while, weren't they? And again, Ashton Crowder, another just hugely talented driver. And it is the thing of, they haven't got the experience in years, so to say, but they have got the experience in ability. These guys are young and hungry, and you can just see that in the way they do race in the majors. Jason Martin as well, another driver that is another top sim racer in Australia. He's one of the top oval drivers in Australia. He does struggle a bit on the roads, and he has put a lot of effort into learning the road courses, but again, very experienced. And then you've got people like Josh Micklemore, who is again just such a good racing driver, and again, very experienced, very good driver. And you can see he's down there in 8th at the moment, and it just shows the class of the field, where you've got drivers like Micklemore who aren't constantly winning, because there is just such a huge amount of talent in these fields.
Yeah, it's the best league in Australia, and hopefully one day to get racing. Work on that one, hey Carl.
Yeah, that's it. It's obviously we're a little bit biased here at Simshed Broadcasting, of course, because we have done Anzcar for a while. Obviously not with Simshed Broadcasting, but back when we were Performance E streaming, back in the olden days.
Yes.
But of course, it is that thing of the Anzcar series is one of the top series in Australia, especially for oval racing. There is not much out there that can come close to it, and we have started running in New Zealand as well. It does make a huge thing. We've got to give a shout out to Matt Hunter, who's watching the stream at the moment for the Thunder series that's currently running on New Zealand time. It is a big thing for us to have Australia and New Zealand under our belt, because, well, brilliant job. Another guy that's just doing a great job at the moment is just Riley Curtis. As I say, another driver that's got a lot of experience, very good driver, very talented driver. Maybe not had the best luck, but he's having such a good race this season. This race, he's really going for it. And he's currently sitting down there at an 11th, and it's really good to see. He had a bit of bad fortune last time out. He got caught up in an incident, but hopefully we will not see a reoccurrence of that this time out.
Yeah, hopefully. How long did it take you to get used to saying JP? Walking away from e-streaming.
I still have to think about it quite a lot when I'm saying it, because I still in the back of my brain will make the mistake, of course. But it's nice to be in it's nice to actually have a proper team behind us as well, because obviously with Performance E-streaming, it was literally it was just the Anzcar admins that made it, and I got roped into basically being the commentator. Because I have my own YouTube channel where I do a lot of military history and things like that, and have that experience in, of course, broadcasting. So I got roped into it by Mr. Foster. I didn't really have much choice. It was commentate or get a punch in the face. So it was a very sort of, it wasn't much choice, but I was very glad to do it, because again, it's that thing for me is I can't necessarily drive anymore even in sim racing. I still struggle. It does take a lot out of me, but being able to be involved still and commentate is just great for me. I love being involved in motorsport. I love motorsport. It's a huge thing for me. I'm not necessarily the biggest NASCAR. NASCAR is not my forte. You know, I have, you know, it's very obvious sometimes, but open wheelers are my preference, and that's what I know most about. But it's been fun, and as I say, we've got Abruzzi behind us. We've got hybrid racing simulations. We've got brain kick into gear, please. We've got iLiveries behind us now and backing us with JP Simshed, and of course JP Simshed and JP himself are actually putting in the time and effort for this. And of course JP's recently started the V8 series, which we had our first race of this week, and was a pretty damn good race actually. If you get a chance to look at it, go back and have a look at the replays of it, because it was a pretty good race at the Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal.
Did you race, Carl?
No. No. No.
Thought you might have.
No. That's I don't have the money to buy a V8 and the tracks involved in that. God, what are you talking about? No, it's very much a series that that's definitely not something that I would do well in. I wouldn't flourish in that series, so to say.
Carl, I hear excuses, because luckily here on the IRA server, if you do 8 weeks or more in a single season, which is a 13-week season, you get, I think it's $5 iRacing credit for participation.
Yeah, you know, it's excuses, racing excuses. You know, I'll come up with some good racing excuses for it. But yeah, my big thing is, you know, I just, unfortunately, my neck and my shoulders do not enjoy racing too much, and unfortunately, I struggle a lot with online racing, as we've got a good little battle in 7th and 8th place between Raymond Yeager and Josh Micklemore. But yeah, unfortunately, I do need to get up and have a bit of a walk and a pause to continue in racing sometimes. So, caution is out. The caution flag has been flown. And, it looks like we've got a few cars in that. The 515 definitely involved in that. Simon Mesimo. Big impact on the front of that car. Let's just see if we can actually go and see what happened there.
And Aaron Smith also involved with now no front end.
Oh yeah, it looks like Aaron Smith just got into the Ayrton Smith got into the side of Mesmo there and just spun him around, and that's the reason those two have not got a front end. Just an easy mistake to make, unfortunately, and that's taken them both out of this race effectively. Those two are going to struggle now with that front end missing, but I expect everybody's going to come in for their final pit stop now, and race to the end.
Yeah, and someone who was having a good night earlier.
Oops, sorry, just lost you there, Johnny.
Someone who was having a good night early in the night, fortunately got caught up in that wrecker's Kyle. He just got the front end of his nose hurt and come down the track there.
Who was that involved in it as well?
Kyle Nerf. Sorry.
So I'll let you go back and have a little look at that one and see exactly, and if my computer would like to cooperate, I'll just try and get back to the pit lane action. Sorry, I'm just caught on a car at the moment. Luckily, I did upgrade my computer from last season, so it is running better with a stream. As you will have noticed, the stream is not stuttering, and we're able to see the cars on track. So there is some good news out of tonight. It does show that my computer can actually stream iRacing, so that is some good news.
Did you build your computer yourself?
Yes, it's a bit of a Frankenstein, unfortunately. It's put together with bits that other people no longer wanted, but Christmas time, one of my good friends rebuilt his computer and actually got a new motherboard and new CPU. So I've managed to get his CPU, which is a nice 3.8 gigahertz Intel Pentium processor, and I was running a 2.6 previously, so you can see the difference there straight away. It's made my life a lot easier.
Yeah, very nice. I also upgraded over the Christmas season because unfortunately at the end of last year, after our last stream, my computer decided to die the boot drive, and I decided just to go, nope, I'm not working anymore. Since I got my new simulator, thanks to Hybrid Racing Simulation, I brought top of the line 2080 Ti water cooled system.
Very nice.
That was like $7,000 setback.
Show off. I think my computer altogether has cost me about $180. No, actually, my graphics card, I actually had to spend about $280 on that because it's AMD. It's one of the top AMD.
Oh, very nice.
So yeah, I have a decent beefy graphics card in there, but I think that's the only thing I've bought for this computer. Everything else is second hand from friends that are getting rid of their bits. So it's very much a cobbled together monster of just bits and pieces. But yeah, you have to deal with what you get sometimes, and that's what I've done. It's definitely an improvement over the old Hewlett Packard I was running, which was about 8 years old. So yeah, it's much better than the old computer I used to stream on. So it does make a difference there.
And again, when I say I spent $7+ grand just on the computer, that's sponsorship. I'm sponsored again, so that's why I can afford to, or companies can afford to pay for those things.
You see, this is where I need to get racing and actually get some sponsorship behind me. I might be able to actually afford some equipment.
Yeah, I won't tell you how much each screen, my 32-inch curved monitors cost me, and I've got 3 of them as well.
Oh, I'm running a 17 and I think I've got a 15. I'm running a 17-inch and a 15-inch monitor because, again, they're random monitors that I've picked up through the years. But one day I will get a nice set of curved monitors and be able to run triple setups. Pace car is going to come in, just looking through the field a little bit at people that have gained. Sorry, we're getting a few flickers here and there. Just as I say, the computer's running well and streaming well, everything starts going wrong. But just looking through the actual field there of people as the pit stops have gone through, Riley Curtis has had a good little one. He's managed to work his way up to 8th, and Bradley Allison as well has had a good stop, working his way up to 7th. So good job for those guys. Foster has worked his way up into the top 10 now. So brilliant job for those guys. Really good recovery drive for them.
Yeah, really good. I was like you, Carl. Don't worry, I was on a 18-inch G27 5-year-old computer at the end of last year, and I was just lucky enough, like I said, to get my Hybrid Racing Simulation and all my other sponsors to come on board to build me a rig at the end of last year.
You know, no, I just need the skill to actually race well, but that I'm sure I can bluff my way into at some stage.
Every car is a billboard for someone.
Exactly. So as we go on, it's been a really good race so far. We've had a couple of cautions, but again, they've been cautions, just mistakes and those little racing incidents, which is not good to see, but much cleaner race than last time out in Phoenix and Auto Club. Auto Club was a bit of a wreck fest, unfortunately, but we're definitely having a much better race tonight. Everybody is behaving a little bit more. As Foster is siving his way through the field, he's really working hard to get up there now. He's pushing it, just trying to get up. He's currently sitting behind Danny Stevens. Again, Daniel Stevens for Middle Finger Racing. Again, a really good drive for them. Middle Finger Racing are having a relatively good season so far. They've been sort of sitting in the top 10, and it's good to see. MFR, of course, one of the... I think it's actually the only team from the early days of the Anzcar series, the only team that is the same team. So it's nice to see MFR having a good season, and their drivers definitely deserve it. We saw, of course, Matthew Clewett last season getting into the chase and getting into the final round of the chase as well. So, you know, they are a very good team, and they've got some great drivers in there, but they don't necessarily have the luck. As we see Stevens just going down low, blocking Foster there, and Foster's just had to ease out a little bit, and this is just giving James Robbie a chance to run up behind him. And then Stephen Williams, the other MFR guy, the Illusion guy. One day I'll get it right. God damn you, Daniel Stevens and Stephen Williams. One day I'll get them right. But Stephen Williams for Illusion there, getting a good run up as well. So really good driving from those guys. Good to see. Again, Foster just making a nice nibble down the inside, trying his best to get through Daniel Stevens. I should have really picked that one up because Foster is racing Daniel Stevens, so no excuse there other than the fact that I am pretty poor, but very close there to James Robbie as well. Those guys are really racing hard at the moment. But just in front of them is Riley Curtis having a great race up in 8th place at the moment. But in front of him is our sort of rookie of the year so far, Bradley Allison. The two Allisons, both rookies, are having a great season, but Bradley Allison so far is he's definitely becoming the best of the two. Matt Allison, of course, has had a great start to the year in Daytona, getting in the top 3, I think it was, despite being 2 laps down at some stages. But yeah, the two Allisons are having a great season, not related by the way, but Bradley Allison is having a great race again, and he's in the top 10 once more. So again, new driver to the series, first season in Anzcar, but really having a great race so far. Good job for Bradley Allison there, just sitting behind Chris Purnell and in front of Riley Curtis.
You got that all right there tonight, Carl. The right Allison. They're not related. Everything.
Shush.
Good on you.
We don't speak about my commentary mistakes because there's too many to speak of, basically.
Yeah, we make them all. Like I said earlier, we'll stuff up.
That's it. It's tricky sometimes. You know, there is a lot of different people out there, and start of the season can be tricky as well because you get a lot of paint changes. Danny G's dropped down to 13th position. He's had a bit of a shocking pit stop. Dropped all the way down to 13th position. He's currently racing with JCW, Joshua Carroll-Walden, and he's really trying his best to get back up there. He's currently racing with Stephen Williams in the Illusion car, pushing pretty hard to try and get back past him and get back to his positions. Another driver that's doing well is Skurlock. He's sitting there in 4th still, but he's just managing to climb his way up there. He's got past Josh Micklemore, and Purnell's now sitting on the back of Micklemore. So good driving here. On lap 145 of 166. So not far to go now.
In saying that, who are you going to pick to win tonight? Are we going to see Matt win, or are we going to see Brandon or someone totally outside of the top 5 or 3 win?
I'm going to put the curse on Matt Danson and Braden Boulos. One of those two to win. Just to make the race more interesting at the end, see if we can get a different winner.
Good on you.
Yes. Sorry, Matt and Braden. But yeah, honestly, you can't really say anything other than Matt Danson. He has had such a good drive. Pretty much a faultless drive tonight. He has just gone for it, and this season he's just on fire. He is really putting in the hours, and he's just almost untouchable this season. We've seen he's not putting in as much effort as normal for the Anzcar Cup, but he is still just ridiculously quick as Foster goes down the inside of Stevens. They touch, and Stevens is up in the wall. He's managed to keep it straight, keep it going, but he has touched the wall. So unfortunately there for Daniel Stevens, just that little bit of a tap from Foster has sent him up into the wall, and that was just going across that sort of, just across onto the start-finish line. As we say, there's that bump there that can really catch you out. But Foster and Stevens just getting into it a little bit as we are coming towards the end of this race, and Foster is really pushing hard. He really wants to get up a bit further in this race. He's now sitting behind Riley Curtis.
Yeah, and another thing with Anzcar, officials that look at everything after the race, so even though Edward may have passed him out on track, there may be a call after the race that has happened that may reverse that.
Exactly, we've got some good officials, and obviously Foster is one of the officials, but there are other officials out there, and they all look at it. There's no favouritism in the sport, so with that incident, it's one of those racing incidents. I think it's not a major one where you're going to go, oh, that was yada yada yada, but it will be investigated, and of course it will also be noted for the future, as Allison and Riley Curtis are having a good little race, and Foster is just licking his lips here as those two race each other, just giving them a chance to get through and fight for position. He goes down the inside of the two there, and is he going to get past Curtis? He's got on the side of Allison. Will he manage to make this stick?
Yeah, he's got the move done.
Really good job on that one for Bradley Allison. He's just stolen that position away from him, and James Roby's now is going for it, and Roby's got that position as well. Really good job there, really nice driving from Roby and Foster. Allison just getting caught out a little bit there, and maybe that little bit of inexperience just coming into play again for him. He has had a few situations this season where towards the end of the race he has lost positions, and he has had contact and things like that. And again, first season in Anzcar, first season in this series, not a faulty thing at all for him, but he has seemed to fade a little bit towards the end of the races. Not a negative thing, but he has definitely got to do some learning still. He's got the speed, but he just needs to get the learning done. He's dropped all the way down to 12th now as Danny G gets past him.
Yeah, and did something happen with James Robbie in that last lot of pit stops? Because he was higher up in the field. I wonder if he had something going wrong in the pit lane there that he's having to fight back through.
Yeah, he lost a few positions. I don't think it was anything wrong. I just think it was a little bit of a slow stop for him. He was up just fighting with Purnell and Micklemore, that sort of area. So he's not dropped down too far. He's only dropped down a couple of positions, and it is literally tenths of seconds we have in those moments. So it is easy to do it. It's easy to lose those positions in those stops. So it looks like he's just dropped down a little bit from those stops and is having to fight his way back now.
Yeah, and with Edward, he'll have to be careful how much he does push on these tyres to keep them on towards the end, or else he's insanely hard and have nothing left at the end, as we saw Chris drop below the line there. For some reason he must have been correcting something.
Yeah, well, it is that thing of, they've already done about 15 laps on these tyres, so about half a stint, so they've got to do another 16 laps, 11 laps on these tyres, sorry, maths there, my biggest weakness. They've got to do another 11 laps, so it's not a huge stint, but these tyres will start dropping off, so they are going to start to have problems. So they have got to be careful, because if you do push too hard, you will wear the front tyres, and if you start wearing that outside tyre a bit, you do lose a lot of time.
Yeah, and as we just saw when I was talking to you, then Chris did actually get up into the outside, be able to keep it all tucked up nicely and get it going again.
Yeah, you can. One of the things with this track is you can use the apron a little bit to help correct yourself and stop a spin a little bit, but you do lose a lot of time from it. It's a bit of a lifesaver sometimes, but it does drop time for you. Another weird thing about Atlanta is if you do get unfortunately it's not really happened in this race, but depending on the time of day it's run, with a lot of the billboards you see around on the corners, if the sun is starting to set behind them, you do get some shadows on this track, and that can really change how the tyres work, because it's that little bit cooler. It can really help you out in that situation. Not so much for this race, but it is one of those tracks where, a little bit of shadow in a certain corner can really make a difference. If you have a little bit of drop of air temperature and things like that, it can absolutely make the biggest difference in the world. just having a quick look at the temperature, because it's quite warm out there at the moment. It's 30 degrees, and the track temperature is almost 40 degrees Celsius, 101 Fahrenheit. So it is a very hot track out there, and that's not going to help out for sure.
Yeah, as we come around. Only a few laps left.
9 to go. Yeah, it's been a relatively quick race actually. It's been a good race so far, and as I say, we've had very few cautions, which is great to see. I think everybody was a bit worried it was going to be a bit of a wreck fest tonight, especially after the truck and Xfinity race here, where there were quite a few spins. The new tyre models really hindered people this season on this track. They really struggled. A track that is very tricky to run, but these new tyre models are definitely throwing people out. As we see Riley Curtis here getting a good run on Micklemore. He's gone down on the inside. He's trying his best to go down there, just missing out there, not quite getting it on this time round. But having a good race there. Riley Curtis is definitely on the move.
Yeah, something that caught a lot of the people out in the track. It was a lot of drivers mustn't put time in on the cold tracks, so they weren't as experienced, we'll say, as it is with the conditions here tonight.
Yeah, it is one of those things. You do have to put a lot of time and effort into these tracks and practice. It is very much a thing of practice is really important. It does make perfect, of course, but it is very hard sometimes because, you know, you do practice a lot and then you do get a change. You know, one of the things with iRacing now is because there is the variable conditions, because there is dynamic weather, you do get changes in weather, and that can really throw the race out and really change how the race runs as Foster starts to come up on Riley Curtis, and James Robbie is just sitting on his 6 as well. Meanwhile, at the front, Matt Danson is still just having a nice little bit of a lead over his teammate Braden Boulos. Boulos just sitting there as his tail gunner there, you know, keeping Jason Martin just behind him. But Jason Martin has pretty much had a faultless race as well, and it's good to see him having a good bit of comeback in the last couple of weeks. He had a horrific start to the season, as we said, but he has definitely started to the luck has changed for him, so to say, and things have started to come good again.
Edward Foster into the inside wall, sorry there. Edward finally got past him, yeah. Sorry for butting in.
That's okay. Did he touch the wall?
Yeah, he hit it pretty hard on the inside.
Okay, we'll go back and have a little bit of a look at that.
He just looked to lose it, coming out of 2.
See if we can go back and find exactly that moment.
Maybe a bump from Robbie behind James Robbie.
We'll replay that one and have a little bit of a look-see. Yeah, fighting hard towards the end of this race, and of course the tyres are starting to go, and we're getting towards that moment where it's going to be the hybrid racing white flag lap. And oh yeah, James Robbie as well, he had a moment. And the caution is actually out. We've got the caution out now. So it looks like we're going to have a green-white checker. Just wondering if actually that was... sorry, not James Robbie. Was that Riley Curtis, actually? Riley Curtis, I think,
yeah, he was the one who went into the inside wall.
Yeah, sorry, Riley Curtis there. Real shame. Riley Curtis having a fantastic evening. And, yeah, just going into the inside wall there, and that's...
Yeah, they caught up to a lap car there, and I think, unfortunately, James Robbie might have adjusted as well to the speed change and might have given Riley a little bump in the rear. Set his car. He went into the inside wall then.
A real shame there. That's a real big shame for Riley. He's had a fantastic night, and for that to happen is a real downer for him. But still in the top 10. He's in 16th position, so Still in the top 20, so that's good news because that will help him for next time out. And everybody's coming into the pit lane. Well, I say everybody, but I think...
interesting call.
I think
stay out.
The two Illusion cars of Skurlock and Purnell have stayed out, as well as James Robbie as well. James Robbie stayed out too. But all the leaders other than that have come into the pit lane. Good or bad decision? What do you think, Johnny?
I don't think that at this point in time that tyres are... Taking tyres is, I reckon, the correct choice. I don't see it sitting out there. You just have a bigger chance of spinning up on the restart and wrecking the field. Or even though these guys are very well trained and worn tyres and that, we're still seeing that kind of stuff from the top guys, and just makes it hard to defend off when you got people like Matt Dance right behind you.
It does, but we have seen in the past couple of races the green-white checker is not worked out in the favour of everyone. We've had a couple of instances where the green-white checker has brought out another caution and the race has ended under caution. So we could see this could work really well for the Illusion guys. It's with Skurlock and Purnell there, and they've also got... a couple of Iver drivers just sitting just behind them as well. James Robbie and one of the Middle Finger Racing guys too.
Marco Dortnack stayed out too.
So I'm pretty sure Brett Gerditz, Mirko Dortnack, Bradley Allison I think stayed out as well. So there are a few cars. Phil Otto,
11 that stayed out.
Yeah, so you've got a lot of cars there that have stayed out. This could work perfectly for the Illusion cars. This is going to be a real tough fight for Matt Danson now.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, and just also in those pit stops there, Jason Martin did manage to jump Brandon, if that does come into play at all.
Yeah, it's with that bunch of cars staying out, it might really help him. Just Dave Douglas just mentioning that, not in the race tonight, unfortunately, but just saying there, if a few cars stay out, that could really help him. Of course, Dave Douglas in Illusion nowadays. This could be a good moment for his teammates and his team. This could possibly get them the win for the race. As we go for a green-white checker for the end of it, it's going to be this is going to be a fascinating one to see. This race has been... I wouldn't say this race has been boring, but it's not been it's not been balls to the wall action, so to say. But we've had some good racing there. We've had some interesting calls, and with this strategy, this could really throw a dice for some of those drivers. But we're going to have to see how much those fresh tyres are going to help people, because of course now you've got Matt Danson down in I think 12th position, just behind Matthew Kluwer, and 12 positions in 2 laps is a lot to ask for.
There is a big difference in speed, obviously, with newer tyres here. Held it pretty well flat the whole lap, but if you're going to have those drivers that are better in, or possibly even lifting throttle in front of you, you're going to have to adjust to their speed, as it is a lot of one lane racing here.
Yeah, and I do have to apologise, we are getting a bit of a flicker on the stream. I'm sorry for that. Good old Adelaide internet there. That's an Adelaide internet.
You just mean NBN, mate?
Oh yeah, well yeah, of course, NBN in general. Always fun. You gotta love the NBN.
We're a third world country out here with our internet.
Yeah. And we are going to go green, so Chris Purnell is going to lead us off. Green we go, and we're going to keep a bit of focus on those guys a little bit further behind, the Jason Martins, the Matt Dansons, and all of those guys. How are they going to go? It's a bit of flickering. It's going to be interesting.
Danson being super aggressive in the 1 and 2, going 3 wide with his teammate Boulis and Jason.
Keeping on the outside there. Brave move there. Yeah, I do apologise. There's a lot of flickering going on between the cars at the moment. So
Matt is just pulling now past another 2 cars there.
Danson's definitely got the speed there as we get the white flag, the hybrid racing simulations white flag, 1 lap to go. But Skurlock has managed to pull out a fantastic lead. He's got a nice big gap between himself and his teammate of Chris Purnell as we see all the cars behind him just going incredibly wide. This is going to be a heck of a run to the finish line, but we're going to have to keep focus on our leader here as Michael Skurlock takes the win with Chris Purnell in second. Brett Gerditz, I think, is going to... Well, I'm not sure.
Matt got third.
Matt Danson manages to get third. Matt Danson there just taking it from nowhere. We'll just go back and see if we can get a bit of a look at that one across the line again.
It was by inches by Matt there at the end.
There was nothing in it, really. It was those guys were really racing hard with Jason Martin as well. We'll actually just replay that and we'll just go on to... if I can actually get the right button. We'll just have a quick look at that finish again with Matt Danson. So, nice close in. So, yeah, Matt Danson there, a little bit of flickering, but yeah, he comes right up there, gets that drive off the final corner, gets past Robbie, and brilliant finish there for Danson. He almost got Purnell, matter of inches between it. What a finish. That was one heck of a finich there, and you can just see the two Mitch Motorsport boys there are burning out their engines. Well-deserved victory. As I said, Illusion guys. Illusion have been fighting for a race all season, and they finally got it. Skurlock and Purnell taking the victory, playing a bit of tug of war here, driving into each other, but what a brilliant win. That decision to stay out really paid off for him.
Yeah, it truly did. I'm surprised, but it was only 3 laps.
That call to stay out did them a brilliant job, and yeah, what a fantastic job there. Let's just go through the finish before we head off and grab some of the drivers, and let me just get the results page. There we go. So in first place, Michael Skurlock for Illusion Motorsport. Brilliant victory there. Just behind him, well, almost a second behind him, not just behind him, Skurlock pulled out a brilliant lead there, and that's what really earned him that victory. Chris Purnell in the 922nd, Illusion Motorsport 1-2. Matt Danson, third place, by 0.2 of a second just behind Purnell, taking James Roby in the Pace Syndicate car. Manages to get fourth place. Brilliant drive from Roby. Braden Boulis fifth. Brett Gerditz, again, really nice drive there, getting up into 6th position. Brilliant job for Middle Finger Racing. Jason Martin ended up finishing 7th. Bit of a shame for Martin, but he did get a decent finish at the end. And then we have some more Illusion Motorsport cars. Mirko Dortnack and Stephen Williams in 8th and 9th. With Josh Micklemore ended up in 10th place. Real shame for Micklemore there. He was having a great drive and he was up in that sort of top 5 all race long, but he did drop back there with that pit stop. Then in 11th place, Danny G. Again, dropping down with Mitch Motorsport. 12th, we had Bradley Allison. Again, a very strong performance for the rookie. Gained 14 positions in that race. 13th was Joshua Carroll Walden for JP Simshed. Just behind him was Edward Foster in 14th. Riley Curtis ended up in 15th place. Not a bad race for Riley Curtis. He ended up making 17 positions in that race. And that's locked him in for the next race as well, of course, because the top 20 drivers get locked in for the next race. So they'll be able to race next time out. So brilliant job for those guys. Daniel Stevens in 16th place. Again, a nice job for him. Phil Otto doing a great job for the DPR guys, getting in 17th. Hamish Gallagher, 18th. Matthew Cluett, 19th. Again, great drive from Cluett, managing to get up there. 20th was Kai Sloggett. Again, another good drive for Kai Sloggett. Luck seemed to be with him tonight, and that's locked him in for the next race. Good job for Middle Finger Racing. They had a lot of cars in that top 20. Then, next up in 21st was Nathan Clive, another rookie. Again, another strong drive. 12 positions gained. Brilliant job for him. Ayrton Smith managed to get 22nd in the end. Bradley Kemp, 23rd. Simon Mesno, 24th. 25th was Tristan Koch. 26th was Dylan Davis. 27th was Raymond Jaeger. Jaeger having a great race up until the sort of last 14 laps, obviously getting involved in an incident there. Patterson managed 28th. Norman Clark 29th. Michael Latterer, Norman Clark 29th. Michael Latterer in 30th, despite it saying 29th on the actual list there. Sorry about that. 31st was Ryan Jones. 32nd was Jason Hardigan. 33rd was Devon Stove. 34th, Lachlan Urido. 45th was Hammy Stein. 36th was Jake Maloney. And finally coming up in 37th was Mick Wilson. But a fantastic job there for the Illusion Motorsport guys, Michael Skurlock and Chris Purnell. So,
just so everybody knows, Skurlock, Chris come from 17th to 2nd, so that was a very good both of them out there.
yeah, Michael Skurlock gained 24 positions in that race. So, yeah, some seriously good position gains. So let's grab our winner. Michael Skurlock for Illusion Motorsport. Carl Withy here with Simshed Broadcasting. Congratulations in order.
Yes, thank you very much. Don't say I 100% earned that one, but you know, luck paid. Was a big part of that, I think.
Well, you say you didn't 100% earn that. You gained 24 positions in that race, and that decision to stay out. Although a lot of other cars stayed out with you, and I think that's what won you the race. That's what really clinched it for you. But you were running in the top 10 all race with your teammate Chris Purnell. You definitely earned a top 3 finish, and you earned that race win for sure.
No, I appreciate it, mate. I was, I mean, there was parts of that race where I was struggling to get the car to turn at all. But I was staying with Jason and Braden and Matt, and I know they're going to say they were taking it easy or whatever, but it's only so easy you can take it. And, just it's confidence builder if I can stay near Martin, you know what I mean? So it makes me feel good. So at least I got that in there, and then at the end, just did that gamble, and it worked out. It doesn't normally work out.
Yeah, well, that's it. Gambles don't always pay off, but tonight the gamble really did, and... well, it's just great to see you up there. I was actually talking through the broadcast saying how you guys are definitely looking for a victory this season. The Illusion Motorsport team, that is. You guys have been up there and thereabouts this year. But it seems like you've definitely got the better of your teammate at the moment in that position. And you've earned the first victory of the year for Illusion. Congratulations.
Oh, man, as long as one of us wins, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? I'm stoked that he got a second there, because... he's been looking for a decent result. So if he got the win, I would have been just as happy as me getting it, to be honest.
No, congratulations, and thanks for giving us such a fantastic finish there. And as always, anything you'd like to give a bit of a shout out for tonight?
Yeah, of course, just all the Illusion boys, Virtual Motorsport Mentor, and you guys for doing the stream, and Edward, Danny, Matt Hunter for organising the Anzcar races for us all, because if they didn't do that, we wouldn't be doing nothing on these nights, so thank you to them.
Awesome, thank you so much, Mick. And look, I am sure we're going to see you up in the booth again this season. You've been up here a few times now. It seems to be a regular occurrence.
Yeah, there was a big dry spell there for a while. Now I'm back, mate. Back.
That's it.
Got the chin on the rim, mate.
Back with a vengeance. That's it. You're doing bloody well. And look, you're going to be a contender for this season. I think championship-wise, I can't remember exactly where you are, but I think this might actually bring you up into the lead of the championship. Because I think you were sitting second or third. No, that was Chris, sorry. You were sitting fifth.
That's right. It's too early for that anyway. It's just like, 30 more races?
Yeah, about 1,000 more. There's about the same amount of races as there are Illusion drivers. So, a couple of thousand races left this season. But
I've got to deal with an angry Matt Danson now, so see how that goes.
Yeah, that's it. Look, best of luck, and we'll see you up in the booth again. Thank you so much for joining us, mate.
All right, thanks, mate. Bye-bye.
Michael Skurlock there, of course, for Illusion. And we'll grab down the second place guy, Mr. Chris Purnell. Chris Purnell for Illusion Motorsport. Carl Withy here with Simshed Broadcasting. Congratulations on a very, very close second place there.
Thank you, buddy.
Nice to see you up in the booth again. I was just saying to Mick, it seems to be a regular occurrence, you guys getting up in the booth this season.
Yeah, we're going pretty well, man, to be honest. I think Illusion's had a podium in every race in Anzcar so far this year, so it hasn't been a bad start for a change. But it's still a long way to go, obviously.
Well, you'd bloody hope for a podium in every race, seeing you basically make up half a field.
Oh, we've cut back a bit. I think there was 6 of us tonight, so that's a lot less than normally. So yeah, it's we got a lot of stuff going on this week, so the guys are sort of spread across.
No, jokes aside there, you guys have been having a great season, and just looking at the top 10 there, you've got 4 cars up in there, of course, with Mirko and Stephen up in 8th and 9th place. A really good finish for you guys in the end there. That gamble really paid off in the end for you guys as well, just staying out there.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling confident in the car. I can give you the big tip. I had no rear grip at all, and I was just hanging on and hoping that it took the guys that did pit long enough to get through the guys that stayed out with us, that it would give me enough of a gap to sort of help Anzcar stay out.
Yeah, and well, luckily a few people did stay out, but it was very close there with Danson at the end.
Yeah, I looked in the mirror, and I probably shouldn't have. I probably should have just focused on the finish line, but I did see him on my outside right as we were coming over the line, so I reckon another 100, 150 metres and he probably would have got me, so because he was carrying a lot of...
Yeah, he definitely had a bit more grip out there than you at the end, but no, it really paid off for you guys. And just saying as well, you gained 15 positions in that race, and Michael gained 24 positions. It's just a really good job for you guys. Fantastic racing, and it's something we've seen all season. You guys have just been climbing up those positions and really, really locking it in for the sort of top 3 in every race. And we're just saying before, I got you and mixed up as usual, but you're currently sitting 2nd in the championship, and with this race, I believe it's going to put you up into 1st place in the championship. Of course, very early, of course. I mean, we've still got 30 odd races to go, but it's a good start to the season for you guys.
Yeah, that's it. I think for me personally, I don't think my quality pace is there, but I just seem to be able to come through the field quite quickly early in the race, and then just stay up the front with the other boys from Mitch and Matt Danson and Braden Bulloss. They seem to be the 6 sort of guys that we float around near the front all the time. So it's been good racing with those guys this season. There's a couple of guys just behind as well, like your James Robbie, Dan Stevens. It's been good racing with those guys as well. But yeah, it would just like to be up the front qualifying and then make my job a little bit easier during the race.
Yeah, and of course, all of these good positions and finishes for you must be really helping out with the Virtual Motorsport Mentor.
Yeah, it's going pretty well. I'm actually a little bit to the point where I need a break from it, because it's been pretty flat out the last few weeks. I've been doing a lot with the guys in supercars and stuff like that. So, but really enjoying that, and I think the guys that are doing the courses and the coaching that I'm doing, they're getting a lot out of it. So it's awesome.
No, that's great to hear, and as I said in the broadcast as well, it's great to see you guys actually putting so much effort into helping people out this season and helping people actually get up those positions. It's great to see people actually helping out newer drivers, and it's what we like to see as well. Is is sharing that experience. So yeah, thank you so much for that, and again, congratulations. But before we let you go, anything you'd like to shout out for, and all of that usual stuff?
I'll just shout out to all the guys in Illusion. Unfortunately, Dave couldn't be here tonight because he had a family member pass away, so he's dealing with that. But yeah, we told him that we'd bring home our win for him tonight, so it all worked out really well. And yeah, just obviously you guys up in Anzcar, and the guys in the JP Simshed broadcast booth, and all the competitors that show up weekend. Yeah,
condolences to Dave there. He was cheering you on at the end there, though. He was very happy. There was a loud, lots of exclamation marks and things like that at the end of the race in the stream chat. So he saw it, and I think you made him quite happy.
Yeah, that's it, man, and that's the main.
Thank you so much, Chris. And look, I said it before, but I'm sure we're going to see you up in the booth again this time in the season. So won't be long before we chat to you again.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.
Thanks. Have a good one. All right. So we've missing a few drivers from our usual Rose Gallery in the green room. I think many people weren't sure if the stream was going to happen tonight, obviously. But before we go, I might just grab Edward Foster, have a quick chat to him. Edward Foster, Carl Withy here with Simshed Broadcasting. How are you going?
Not as good as I was about 3 laps from the end of the race.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it wasn't the best race for you. I'll go with that one. What happened at the start?
Internet disconnection.
Yes, we did wonder what had happened, and I did say possibly South Australian internet was to blame, and
it was.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because you had a very good qualifying session. You ended up dropping about a lap down as well at the start.
2 laps.
I
was two laps off the pace and 36th position. So.
Yeah, you were quite far down. So all in all, getting up to 14th place. I mean, obviously you were in the top 10 before that, but not the worst comeback of all time.
No, not the worst comeback of all time, but it's a comeback that shouldn't have needed to happen. So, realistically, pace was good. I was very, very comfortable. Tyre life and everything else, very comfortable. And, I'm fairly confident that had I been able to run in the race as normal and start from a normal position, I certainly would have been top 5, possibly even top 3. So, to wind up 14th is not really what I came for. The tracks that I run good at, because I don't run well everywhere, as I need to be making the most of it on the tracks like this. So, pretty disappointed to be turning a top 5 into a 14th. Yeah,
not the best race for you, unfortunately, but it could have been a lot worse. I just one other thing I wanted to just chat to you about as well. Saw you had a bit of contact with Daniel Stevens. I think it was just a little bit earlier in the race. Just a little bit of contact there on the outside. Was that a sort of just a little bit of misplaced cars for you both, or giving a bit of a rub?
No, look, it certainly wasn't intentional rub. I mean, I had a look at the replay because, to be perfectly honest, I wasn't 100% sure what had happened either. And it was only a very, very little touch on my car, such to the point that I didn't even feel anything through the steering wheel. And I thought, okay, he's going to be still next to me. And then I saw in my mirror that he was up against the wall. And I'm like, okay, that's not good. I better go check the replay out. When I finish out, I checked the replay out. And I mean, as we were coming into the corner, I was probably a little bit higher than he expected me to be. I was on my way down. I was turning down, but I think that he probably thought that I was a bit lower than I was, and he's come down faster than I was coming down and hitting the side of me. So. Yeah, look, it's just one of those unfortunate things. We're coming towards the end of the race. We're racing real hard, but, real fair. He was throwing a few blocks and stuff, which I got no problem with. That's come towards the end of the race. It was fine. Look, it's unfortunate. And so I imagine he's not probably too pleased with it, but, it's one of those things. I certainly had overlap. So, there you go. It's just unfortunate for him.
Yeah, it was one of those little racing incidents. He ended up finishing 16th in the end, just behind Riley Curtis, who had a good run as well tonight. But unfortunately, these things do happen. Obviously, one thing I wanted to mention as well is much better race tonight as well for cautions. A lot less cautions out there tonight. Yeah,
it was. It was good to see. It was good to get some nice green flag running in. You tend to find at the beginning of a season, lots of people come in, with sort of ideas that they're going to do. They're going to go out and they're going to do quite well. And, the rookies generally, they move into one or two camps. They either find out that they're good and they're competitive and they stick at it, or they find out that perhaps it's not for them. So, I guess we're sort of in that process at the moment. We've taken a few steps in Anzcar to reward the safer drivers by locking those guys into the field as well. So it does still leave space for some new guys to come in and try and make the presence felt. But we do run it for guys who may be struggling in the cup as well. We do run 2 other series as well, so they're quite welcome to jump in there and have a go at it. Kind of try to cater for all skill levels if we can, but definitely the cup being the premier series, it's important that the quality of the racing is real good. Tonight was pretty good, and I think it's just going to get better as the season goes on.
Yeah, we've had some good quality racing tonight. There was some good stuff out there. And just want to touch base as well, because obviously there's been that slight rule change. Obviously, the top 20 get locked in for the next race for qualifying conditions, and then you have the safe driver positions as well.
Yes.
Just on a sort of administration basis, just to ask you really, with the safe drivers, what do you look for in that respect?
Well, it's very simple, actually. It's the number of incidents that they've had per lap completed. So there's actually the scoring app where we keep all of our championship scoring, actually keeps that statistic for us. So it's a very simple matter of just sorting the drivers by that statistic.
Lovely. So yeah, that just wanted to get that explanation out so people know exactly what we mean when we say that. So that helps us out. Before we let you scamper off, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight? Any things like that for yourself, Mr. Foster?
Yeah, certainly. So obviously it wasn't the best night for the team. We didn't really get too many cars up there in the. I don't think we had anyone in the top 10 at the end. Maybe Josh managed to have 10th. I didn't say. Definitely shout out to the rest of the team, and to, of course, our awesome sponsors: Goodyear Auto Care, Warana, Abruzzi Racewear, Drive Sim, VR Cover, Jinx Shifters, Cars for Hope, all those guys. And special shout out to JP. He obviously had to run off to the hospital tonight with his daughter. So that's the reason that he wasn't here, obviously broadcasting. So best wishes to those guys. And if you're watching, JP, hope it's all going well. And also just, a shout out to you guys for jumping in at the last minute and putting the broadcast together, because otherwise we wouldn't have had one. So that was really cool of you guys to do it.
Yeah, well, that wasn't a good night for the team on the track. It was a bit of a rough night for the Simshed Broadcasting boys as well, so a bit of a rough one all around, I think. But thank you so much for that, and of course, again, big shout out to JP. I hope everything's going well, and thank you so much for joining us, Foster.
Thank you very much.
Edward Foster there for JP Simshed. So, Jono, again, a big thank you for joining me tonight and abandoning your race. Obviously, that's a big deal, and I cannot thank you enough for that. You could have won it tonight, obviously. I say if you were out there, you would have won it. You've missed out on a win, unfortunately. But thank you so much for joining us in the broadcast booth.
That's all right. Well, it's always fun to be.
So before I let you scamper off as well, any just final thoughts on that race?
It was an interesting call there at the end that caused the win to happen. So, yeah, all in all, just a very interesting finish, to say the least. And as you said earlier, our thoughts and prayers are with JP and his daughter at the moment. So, if he's watching, I hope that everything goes well for you, mate.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll be back next week, of course, for a race. Her brain is slowly kicking into.
Well, you'll be.
Yeah. You'll
I'm
be.
Not sure where I'll be.
You'll hopefully be on track. Of course, next time out we're going to be at Homestead, so off to Miami and Homestead. So bit of a different track, bit of a different layout, and that's going to be on the 19th of March. So no rest for the wicked here. We don't get much of a rest between the races, but we'll see you out on track, Jono, and I'll wish you the best of luck for the next race.
Thank you, Carl. I'll see what I can do for you. Show.
That's
As
it.
always, you got the chance to jump in the car.
Look, that's it. Hopefully we'll have you up in the booth next week as the end of the race for victory for yourself. So hopefully you'll get some good rewards for your good charitable action for coming up here tonight.
Thanks, Carl. That might be wishful thinking, but we'll see how we go.
Look, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and thank you everybody for watching. And again, a big apology for the broadcast just being a little bit off kilter tonight, but thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time out. From myself, Carl Withy, and from Jonathan Hancock, have a good night, and see you again next time at Homestead. Bye bye.